The season has been a glass half full or half empty type situation for Abner Acosta. On the upside, he has racked up 3 straight second place finishes, and consistency like that will no doubt help guide him to another championship crown. However, I can't imagine a racer who wouldn't be annoyed at still missing that check mark in the win column. There's much of the season left to go, but will today bring change for Abner? And will it be good or bad? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the PRL GTE Sportscar series. You'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel and the iRacing eSports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Ossian Puhaka. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park has already hosted one race for the PRL this week. Fans who watched last night might already know what they're in for here, but in case we have viewers who missed the GT4 series action, let's head down to our track guide to find out more. Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Mosport. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Mosport is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles, or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac. But any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Mosport continues to provide. Mosport provides a real challenge for these drivers, and as you see them start off on the qualifying, we've got more information from Ozzy about this track, just in case our viewers want to know a little more.
Yes, hello Joe. Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, known as Mosport for our friends. Location Bowmanville, Ontario, Canada. 55 miles or 95 kilometers northeast of downtown Toronto. 2.5 miles, 4 kilometers long, 10 turns. It is the GP layout. It was built in 1960 and it has remained unchanged pretty much ever since. Lot of undulation, lot of elevation changes, fast corners, medium speed corners, couple of tight corners known as the Moss Corner as well. Sure to provide great action and keep the drivers on their toes for the entire hour, Joe.
No doubt about that, but as always, today's race is brought to you by SIMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring organizations, companies, manufacturers, teams, and drivers together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. They're also bridging virtual and real motorsports by providing a network between these two, involving sim racers, real drivers, teams, managers, engineers, and of course, motorsport fans alike. You can find out more about how you can get involved at simsa.net. Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by ButtKicker. ButtKicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. Championship has been coming together. We're getting a picture of things, and Bruno Asturi currently still leading ahead of Abner Acosta, who lacks a victory so far this season. Paulo Munoz has taken one of the three, but he's down in third and not too far back. And it's about the same jump to get to Rodrigo Mies. But Rodrigo is probably looking over his shoulder because look at Squirrek back there in fifth, only 1 point separating the Punto Racing driver and the Radicals online driver. Now, there's a team's championship as well. Ozzy, how's that?
Well, Level Motorsport, they have been leading since the start, and they are still leading. Abner Acosta, Bruno Asturi, Alexis Acerbo doing a great job on top of the team standings. Punto CL Racing Blue in second place, Calvin, Mies, and Eisler there. RSR eSport by G Performance rounding out their top three, Munoz, Pfeffer, and Hortal. Radicals Online Turn Racing, Utreras and Narciso Ford, and Punto CL Racing Red. The stalwart team of this series, Felipe Ruiz, Lucas Basigalubo, and Eduardo Avila Gutch, rounding out their top five in the team championship department.
Well, quick, before we get to the qualifying, let's talk about what this race itself will entail. We are in round 4 out of 10, getting close to the halfway point here. And there's the 4 different makes of cars the drivers are allowed to choose from. That has been swapping around a little bit because of some BOP stuff that iRacing has been doing. They try to allow drivers to do that if iRacing changes that during the season. 60 minutes are up for the race, and it is open setup in this series. So no matter which make you choose, you can try and tweak it to your liking still. And the incident cap down there, 20 incidents will disqualify you. However, before you reach that, you get a stop and go penalty at 13. And then, of course, there's the bonus points down at the bottom, one of which they're fighting for right now with the pole position. If you want to follow all of this that's happening in the qualifying as well as in the race, make sure and check us out on GSRC.tv. That's our live timing and scoring. So if we don't have the camera on your favorite driver at the time, you can check on them and see how they're doing at any point in the broadcast. Cal Quinn leads the qualifying right now, and he was actually quickest in the warm-up as well. Driver behind him in the qualifying, Bruno Asturi, just had a bit of a spin down in Moss Corner, so he's going to have to get set back up and going once again. Cal Quinn doesn't have that big of a gap over him right now. It's only 3/100ths of a second.
No, he does not, and it's a very, very tight field on top of the qualifying as expected from this track. You look at Calguin, you look at Asturi, you look at Mies. Asturi, Mies just 1 millisecond away from each other. Acosta, a couple of hundreds away. Basigalubo and Ross as well, 5 milliseconds separated from each other. So they have tiny improvements to make to get positions. And for a driver, that can be a little bit frustrating because you know you always have time. There is no such thing as a perfect lap. But, you know, still, it's easier said than done, especially in Motorsport, and everybody knows the situation. However, I'm really impressed by Cal Gwyn's speed this week. He was fastest man in practice. He's looking to be the fastest in qualifying as well.
There is only a 1/10 of a second from first to 6th place, down to Michael Ross. So you talk about those tight gaps between the drivers here in qualifying, and there is just nothing in it. This is Cal Quinn coming back across the line, but that one's not going to be quicker, about 2/10 off of his fastest lap. Might take a bit to get the tires warmed up. It's pretty cool on the track surface right now, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll have to go to Aussie to get the Celsius temperature for that. It is a little bit windy as well out there.
26 degrees Celsius, 23 degrees Celsius air temp, and wind, well, it is blowing. It is blowing faster than I have ever been running, 25 kilometers per hour. That's about biking speed, and that's about 11 miles an hour, or 10 miles an hour rather, and it is blowing north. So it is blowing to the Great White North, and they're racing in Canada today, of course. Now, another interesting point is how that cool track temp, it's gonna get warmer and warmer throughout the race. For those of you who were watching last night when they were racing the GT4 Club Sport Series here, they raced the GT4s last night. They started in the morning. They are starting in the morning here as well. Currently during the qualifying, it's 8:43 virtual standard time.
Many of the top drivers come across the line. No one seems to be setting a quicker lap, and Cal Quinn's actually going to abandon it with quite a fashion down into the Armco barrier. He's got 6 minutes left to go, and with the laps not very long around here, you definitely have time to attempt a few more. Eisler, who was down in 7th before we moved the cameras off him, has not improved on that lap by. This is Ruiz now on screen. Looks like he had an off track. Ooh, and Acosta. He manages to get those few hundredths that he needed and then some. He is now 2 100ths ahead of Cal Quinn, up to the top.
Wow. So he takes the pole position. We were all watching Cal Gwyn and how he's doing. And Bruno Asturi, the man who was struggling maybe a little bit in qualifying, is still struggling. He goes into the wall at turn number 2. So, he's in third place, but it's not quite as fast as we've used to be seeing him. He has been the fastest man in this series. He has been the man to beat. And right now, it seems that others have caught up a little bit on him. So gonna be interesting what happens throughout the race. But show another interesting point. The top 6 in the qualifying standings, they are 2/10 or 1.5 tenths away from everybody else. So it looks to be a continuation of what we've seen earlier on. We have 6 drivers potentially fighting for those wins, for those podiums, and then there is a bit of a gap to everybody else.
Michael Ross is the 6th one, and he's coming up to the line now. So let's see what the 67 has for his Ford GTE. Not a quicker time. His first lap was his fastest, and he's failed to do anything since then. Utredes, who we see down in 11th, comes up to the S's and towards the final few corners. I have a feeling that track position is going to be pretty important today, because we saw last night as well, passing here is just so tough.
Yes, and you don't really have any good passing places at all, especially for these cars, which are even a little bit bigger than the GT Force we saw last night. They're of course faster as well. Means you're going faster through the corners. Dirty air actually has an effect, the turbulent air that is coming from the wake of the car in front. Makes you basically disturbs the airflow to the front of your car and makes you understeer. And in case any of our viewers are confused about what is understeer, well, understeer is basically pushing. And the difference between understeer and oversteer, as they say traditionally, understeer is when the front of your car hits the wall, and oversteer is when the rear of your car hits the wall. And the car is in balance when you can drive through the corner with the steering wheel straight, Joe.
We've got some shenanigans going on in the field here. I'm seeing Cal Quinn and Mies going slow on the backstretch, I guess trying to get themselves some space, but they're running in a line, not traditionally a track where you see drivers trying to play draft games. They're also pulling along Uribe in the number 23. And there he is on screen in the Porsche. Now, he's not on a team with them, if I'm seeing correctly. Cal Quinn and Mies both are, though.
Yeah, I think Uribe is not in a team. He's in his own effort, actually, the sole driver of final lap sim racing in this championship. But, it might be just that Uribe saw what they were doing and did a bit of a fast lap and now spins out for his troubles. So, he was trying to probably catch up into the draft of those 2 Punto guys, and Cal Gwyn pulling Mies along, and maybe they just found a nice gap for themselves. Maybe Cal Gwyn is helping Mies a little bit to get a fast lap in, and then Mies will repay him the favor later during the course of this qualifying. Now, if they are playing team games, I'm fully expecting Cal Gwyn to pull out of the way at the end of the Andretti straight here and let Mies take the racing line, and that's indeed what's happening. So
as that was happening, Acosta went even quicker. It is now over a 10th ahead of Cal Quinn, so he's found quite a bit as we watch Ted Lowendick, the Ohio driver, up to 10th with that last lap, an improvement. Mies coming to the line. Let's see if that helped him. It did. A 1:13.1, and that's going to be good enough for second place. Asturi is now back to 4th and still struggling. He is wrecked at the side of the road with only 2 minutes left to go. I don't think that's going to be enough time for him to really get the tires heated up and get a fast lap in. Acosta back to the line, not quicker this time.
Yeah, and Cal Gwyn is just leaving the pit lane, so he has one effort left if he is quick about this. But the thing is, the risk for him is that he has to avoid oncoming traffic onto quick laps, onto hot laps, and he has to find himself some space as well. If he manages to keep himself keep himself there. He's got a decent position because that's Felipe Ruiz ahead of him, and he is no slowpoke. So he shouldn't have too bad issues from traffic. However, Eduardo Avila Gach may be able to catch him up during the course of the slow outlap by Cal Guin. So Cal Guin, who was leading the qualifying, who was on provisional pole for quite some time, is now dropped all the way to P number 3.
This is our 13th place driver, Brea, as he crosses. Looks like he had an off track somewhere because that one did not count for him. J.R. Williams in the Ferrari, not a very well-loved car right now. He comes to a slow down close to the pit wall, so clearly not happy with that lap, and he's done with qualifying with not enough time to start a new one. Done again in the 899. Another Ferrari out there right now. Not quite as quick as the 13.9 he had before.
And Cal Guin starting his hot lap as well, coming into turn number 1. This will be his final effort, so let's see what the P number 3 man can do here. He's got Wittehag ahead of him, some couple of seconds, shouldn't be an issue. Cal Guin a little bit shabby in turn number 2, not quite getting it planted as well as he wants. Turn number 3 now, cutting it nice and tight. Can he get the exit? Yes, he can. Could have maybe gone a little bit faster there, but nothing too worrying there. Of course, the track is getting warmer and warmer all the time. As we run out of time, the checkered flag is in the air, but he is allowed to finish this one lap. Cuts Moss corner very nicely and onto the back straight. This has looked clean so far from Horacio Cal Guin.
And I want to report that Acosta was very close on whether or not he got the checkered flag. We're not going to know right now. Mees getting a nice tow. He thinks maybe he can get this whole big help from Cal Guin up to turn 8. So what is this one going to be? 0.7 of a second. Acosta has left the track, so it doesn't matter whether or not he got the checkered flag or not. He's done. Out onto the front stretch. Is it 7/100ths more?
Oh
no, it's not.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's 7/100ths less in terms of pace. He was cutting the last corner a little bit too tight. Maybe that's the issue, but he certainly tried his best and got a little help from his friends. Eisler running wide in the last corner, gonna hit the wall hard on the inside. So I think that's most of our guys done.
That's
Yeah, it is.
done. Yeah, qualifying is over. Let's go through that starting order here for today. Abner Acosta is on the pole with Rodrigo Mees chasing him hard and using every tool at his disposal. Horacio Cal Guin will be starting P3, and the main rival for Acosta so far this season, Bruno Asturi, starting 4th. Now, not dire, but a little bit surprising that he's back there. Bacigalupo, P5 for him, with Michael Ross starting in the 6th position. Felipe Ruiz will be starting in 7th. Christian Eisler couldn't complete that last lap, but still good enough for a top 10 with 8th. Juan Rivas Brea starts 9th, and Eduardo Gach rounds out your top 10.
Paulo Munoz in 11th, Ted Löwendick in 12th place, Javi Utleras 13th, Don Skirk only 14th, he's in 5th place in the championship, Christopher Pfeffer 15th, Rafael Russo 16th, then it's Dunnigan 17th, Torres 18th, Hilton 19th, and J.R. Williams rounding out your top 20.
8 more cars in the field today. Espinoza starts 21st with Uribe 22nd. Rimkus, P23 for him. Anderson Schmidt put it in 24th. The next row has Nick Utahag in the inside. Kyle Strykars to his outside in 26th. Kenny Rodriguez starts 27th, and James Nunn, the last driver on the grid, all 28, managed to put times in. We're going to get a pace lap around here. That could be critical to get those tires warmed up because we're still only at 79 degrees Fahrenheit and with quite a bit of wind to push them around on the track today. I found it interesting, Ozzy. I thought that we would have quite a lot of attrition last night with the GT4 Club Sport Series, but only 3 retirements. Does that give you some hope for today that it might be a little cleaner? Do you think we got lucky?
Yes. Okay, a serious answer now. I think with GTEs, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult to stay clean just because the speeds are so much faster. However, I think the drivers also know, and we've seen some clean races in the PRL GTE championship this season. And also one thing to remember, orange zone in lap number 1. So lap number 1, the stewards will be taking extra care about the incidents, and that means drivers usually take the start of the race at least with quite some care. Now, another thing I want to mention, we saw last night as well, traffic. That's gonna play a big effect here tonight as well.
No doubt about that, especially with a 60-minute race, which is longer than what we experienced with the GT4 cars. So more time to try and catch those lapped cars and have to go by them as the drivers now take off. Checking, not seeing quite as many Canadians here today, though, as we had last night. Uh, Nick Utahag is one of those that is racing on home ground. In fact, I think he's the only one out
Yes.
here. Yeah.
So Nick Widehag, he is left defending the Maple Leaf flag near the hometown of the Toronto Maple Leafs, of course, which is going to be one of the host cities if and when the NHL season gets back going again. So we are going to be enjoying that very much. And hey, Toronto will finally see playoff hockey past the first round.
Whew, shots fired. So, as Abner Acosta leads them around, not seeing a whole lot of weaving from the drivers, not seeing too many of them attempting to try and heat up these tires. But now we'll really get a good look at what's involved in certain portions of this track, including this one. I always felt like this is one of the most dramatic turns in racing, kind of underrated visually. We talk about turns such as Spa's Eau Rouge and whatnot, but look at that. That is just a beautiful sight coming down to this corner.
It is, and the compression as well going into Moss Corner. You know, you come down the hill, and whenever you come to a downhill corner, it kind of reminds me, when you come to the Moss Corner, it kind of reminds me of the last sector of Laguna Seca. Once you come down the corkscrew, you turn left and then you turn right. But this is even a tighter spot, and you have this compression once you come up the hill. Means you can brake a little bit later because you have that extra grip because the car is going to be pushed down on the track on the entry, and still it's very, very easy to run wide on the first apex and end up on the sand. I'm going to expect drivers to end up on the sand here tonight, and they're going to have a slow, miserable 10-mile-an-hour spin after that. So, you know, it's one of those things. We saw it last night, and we're certainly going to see it today as well. And not because these drivers lack quality, but because it's a thing that happens in most sport. It's kind of almost guaranteed.
Yeah, it's sort of
Almost.
like that Darlington stripe. Someone's going to get it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Abner Acosta now being given control as the Porsche pace car is off and immediately the green flag is out. It's a decent start over Mies. In fact, he covers him off to the outside, then comes back to the inside to try to keep him behind. Asturi gets up to third, but he's around the outside of the first corner. He'll have the inside of the second one. Everybody behind trying to keep it on the track or in that first swift corner. Now it's down through Clayton.
Down through Clayton as well, clean to the back. One car is going wide, however, into Clayton corner, and that's Juan Rivas
Maria.
Perea, and he's in the wall from the ninth place.
We'll have to go back to him later. We'll look at that replay and see if he had any help to get him there. Unfortunate to see already someone falling victim to that very scary second turn. But up into Moss Corner for the first time. This critical exit out of the second apex. Who is going to get the launch? It's looking decent for Acosta. Mies not dropping back as much as Abner would probably like, though.
No, not at all. And Mies is still in there, the Chilean driver. He has still not won a race in his and he is on his second season as well. So that's gonna be something he so desperately needs, and he's got his teammates helping him along as well. He's right now breaking that level racing, 1-2 that they so often have. It's Acosta, Mies, Asturi, Calguin, and Ross after lap number 1. Calguin and Ross, who is now in 5th place, Pasigalubo 6th. And more importantly, that was a very clean first lap. So no major incidents that we were so afraid of. No major incidents there, and they still keep going. They still keep racing.
Yeah, we can tell you that Brad did not have any help. It was all on his own that he went off in Clayton. It's very clear now that the car to have here at Motorsport is the Ford GT. 8 of the top 10 are Fords right now, with a Porsche and a Ferrari joining them in 8th and
Oh,
9th out
and
there in the
that's
field.
Felipe Ruiz from 7th place. He's very wide at Moss corner. He's gonna lose a lot of positions as well. He's trying to make his way back to the track, but the track, of course, the line tracks wide, and here we see a replay as well. So he's gonna come to the Moss corner, and I think this is exactly what I was talking about. Going too fast into the first apex. Yep, and he hit the curb. Not quite the sand, but the curb, and goes wide and doesn't hit anything, but gonna lose a lot of positions. He's now in 27th place.
And he did a good job of making sure he didn't cut right back in front of people. He eased his way onto the track so that no one really ran into the back of him. Acosta setting fastest lap of the race, still being chased by Mies, about half a second behind. But Mies is unfortunately sandwiched between two teammates. Asturi is now behind him.
Yeah, and Asturia, and they can play team games. Asturia, I think he's gonna want to go aggressive on Mies. He doesn't want to let Mies save fuel here. Remember, they have to come to the pit lane at around 40-minute mark, we expect, during the course of this race. So Acosta is gonna try and run away, and and Mies goes wide, and he's gonna be the victim of the sand trap as well. And he's gonna lose a lot of positions. He tries to make his way back to the track. He's gonna be allowed to do so, but he's all the way down to P number 11 as a result of that. And here is what I was talking about on the warm-up lap. He went too fast into the first apex, gonna run wide onto the sand. That's so easy to do, and well done in holding it, not pressing the throttle, not spinning the car, but still that's a lot of time lost, sadly, for the Chilean driver, for the man who's representing his national team in the World Cup of Sim Racing as well. So Mies, he did so well in qualifying, and now he has his work cut out for him.
See, getting aggressive on those curbs already, so got a little bit of the red mist and trying to come back into things. Asturi promoted into second because that got win.
Christopher Pfeffer in turn number 1. Sorry, Joe. Number 66, he just spun and hit the wall on the inside line. Gonna come back. So a lot of mistakes being made, and replay once again. He's gonna come into turn number 1. A little bit of dirty air for Pfeffer. Gonna lose it at the exit of the corner, running a little bit wide onto the grass and pop inside wall. That could have been so much worse.
Yeah, looks like he got away with only minor damage on the car. It did send him down to 20th. Unfortunately, you can see him now just in a string as they come through Moss Corner. That is a huge train right now. Now speeding up the backstretch, up Mario Andretti straight. And it's interesting, even though we've had a number of incidents, they've all been single car incidents so far.
Yeah, no multi-car incidents, and that's a good thing, but it's a race of attrition here at Mosport, even more so than we perhaps anticipated. I'm surprised to see so many drivers having trouble early on, just keeping it on the tight and narrow, which it certainly is here at Mosport. I know it's a difficult track, but this is quite something indeed. So a lot of drivers also, which is an interesting point, a lot of drivers who have the pace to be in the top 10, in the top 5, even in the podium, are now towards the back of your field and trying to make their way back. So that's gonna have an effect on how this race is proceeding. Meanwhile, Cal Gwynn, Pasigalubo, Michael Ross, 3, 4, 5, those 3 guys that we just get into the pictures as well, they are gonna have an almighty tussle if somebody doesn't get a move on soon, because the level guys, they are once again leveling the playing field in their favor.
We had our first multi-car incident as we hop on board with Moss. Matt Hilton had a bit of a spin coming through Quebec. He collected Uribe, and it looks like 2 other cars made contact. I think Christopher Pfeffer has added to his woes. Actually, whoa, Pfeffer is off right now.
Whoa.
So something happened here with Pfeffer and Ruiz. Holy cow. Utahog has a wild ride. So does Pfeffer. Strikars?
Yeah, so Pfeffer ran into Uitahag on the corner before Moss, and then they hit each other. Uitahag had a wild ride. Felipe Ruiz spins out as well, and Strikars running through the grass, able to avoid any damage there, thankfully so, and Pfeffer is going to be next to the wall as well. Ruiz able to keep going also, so that was bad, but that could have been so much worse. You don't have small accidents on the approach to Moss Corner usually.
Yeah, and that one is no exception. I spoke too soon, I think. Thankfully, we do have a little bit of a battle happening back here with Munoz just ahead of Gotch. fighting for 7th place. They come onto the Andretti straight. Behind them, Skorek. Don't forget, 5th in the points. He's down in 9th, but he's been gaining some of these positions through that attrition and has got himself this high, up from 14th.
Yeah, so he's been doing well so far, and he's gonna need to keep doing just that if he wants to, if he wants to get some good points from this race. Also, no need to go to it, but just an update from towards the back of your field. We had Ted Lowendick, having a bit of an issue this lap, dropping all the way outside top 10, as well as Anderson Schmid as well has been into the wall. So more attrition as they go by. And we have a good battle actually between James Nunn and Jason Rimkus for the 21st place, I do believe it is right now.
Let's head back to Ross, because this is getting very tight for what is P4, very high points paying position. 84 of Bacigalupo under immense pressure. We were watching from on board Bacigalupo a bit ago up the Andretti straight. No attempt then. Let's see if this gives a better chance for the 67.
Yeah, maybe so. He's right in the draft, Michael Ross. He's gonna have options here. Is Bacigalupo gonna hold on to the inside line? It looks that way. Ross is gonna go to the outside. He is gonna challenge. He doesn't think Bacigalupo has enough pace to keep on pace with Cal Gwyn, and Ross gonna look to the outside, gonna break nice and early. However, a little bit too early. He can cut in tight, but it's no use. He lost time in that corner, but he forced Bacigalupo into a little bit of a defense. And now Lucas, the Brazilian driver, he knows that Michael Ross, he is coming, and he can no longer just settle into saving fuel.
Keep the cameras here, but I also want to give you an update on another championship contender. Munoz is sitting in 7th, having started in 11th. So what looked a little dire for him earlier, a 3rd place in the championship points, is also continuing to push forward down through Quebec. Bacigalupo retains that 4th place over Michael Ross. Ross not looking nearly close enough to try and attack down here into Moss Corner.
Yeah, still very close. Is he gonna get a good exit? Yes, he will, because Bacigalupo runs a little bit too tight. He was a little bit too greedy with the curb on the exit of the Moss corner on the second apex, and that gives Ross the opportunity of his lifetime to get an overtake down at the Mario Andretti straight. Of course, the 1978 Formula One World Champion. It is who this straight is named after. Ross is gonna try to look to the outside, perhaps repeat some of his achievements, but nothing doing there. And very difficult to overtake there on the outside. You need to be pretty much ahead on the entry in order to get the overtake done, because that corner doesn't pay any favors to the outside.
Don't need to go to it, but Felipe Ruiz had another spin coming through Moss Corner. It's been a miserable day for the number 11. We've got a nice battle in 13th, though. Look at this, actually around the outside. Is this going to be, looks like Dunnigan trying to get the pass done on Torres. Still wheel to wheel as they come up to Clayton. I think Torres thinks better of that, but now the inside's taken away from Mies. Mies is going to sneak a pass through. That is heady stuff.
Wow, that's brave from Rodrigo Mies. Well read. He's lost a couple of positions here, though, to these guys. He has a little bit of damage on his front left corner as well, but he's still keeping going, and he is well within this mix. He is racing, and he's got Dunnigan next on his hit list. Dunnigan gonna take the wide line onto the Moss corner, take the wide line at the exit as well, and Mies gonna get a good run on him. A little bit hampered by the curb hit, but he has a chance here, definitely. Is Dunnigan gonna defend hard, or is he gonna let the faster Mies through? We'll have to wait and see. Mies looking to the outside, despite Dunnigan actually leaving room to the inside. So onto the corner take comes side by side.
Sometimes you can see passes around the long way here at turn 8, and I think Mies might be able to do that. In fact, he does. Oof, he's got his muscles out today.
He has, and he has to have them as well, because now he's got a bit of clear air ahead of him. 10 is Rafael Russo, and 10 even more clear air and Skirk and Utrelas as well. So Mies needs to make those moves and get those fast laps in as soon as possible if he wants to be anywhere in this race. Mind you, he was second in qualifying, for those who have been wondering what happened in the early portion of this race. Then he went to the sand trap on Moss Corner on lap number 2 all by himself, and now he has to claw his way back to where he came from, all the way into the top 5. That's gonna be a tall order, but he has the speed. However, I think he's gonna be maybe 8th, 7th at most in this race. Sadly, not gonna be in the top 5, but he is in a hurry. That's for sure.
You mentioned Utredes and Skurek. They changed positions last lap as well. Utredes up to 9th. Up to the front, the top 2 staying close and pulling away from Cal Quinn back there in 3rd. Half a second between Acosta and Asturi, with Acosta having a little bit of a connection problem there, blinking away on my screen momentarily. I feel like we've seen this before. I wonder if Asturi is once again trying to save a little bit of fuel with his teammate.
Yeah, he might be. He might be. He's a wily boy, and as we heard from Acosta last week, Acosta was being really, told high praise of Bruno Asturi and his racing. Said that Bruno Asturi is from those two the fastest driver, but Asturi can be also strategic. Save fuel and certainly doing all the right things for the championship that he is leading at the moment. Acosta, however, he is no slouch. He's past champion in this series. So, Acosta, Asturi, those two guys, looks like they're going to settle it among themselves at this race. However, as we heard, they have no team orders, so they might get racing. But both of them, they are smart enough to know that this is not the time that the race is going to be decided just yet, because they already have 4 seconds back to Horacio Calguin, and they're gonna keep expanding that gap, make that gap larger before they settle the race win.
He can dance, he can sing, but is he a triple threat? Can he become a champion? Pull one over on his teammate who's already taken multiple crowns in this GTE series. They plunge it through Clayton. Really seems to have been no worries for them all race long, pulling away from Cal Quinn. Horatio's actually probably looking a little bit behind him instead. Bacigalupo, that's the red Ferrari you see currently on screen, has got it down to 9/10. Oh.
He's sideways in turn number 2, and no contact, but there's one more car going wide. That's Dunnigan, and in front of them, let's keep with this because it's Torres and Williams and Espinosa very tight as well.
Yeah, he was trying to make a move around the outside of Russo and Clayton. That probably wouldn't have worked. If we want to get a replay, this is a wild moment, not only for Mies, but Dunnigan, who has a great onboard. There's the moment.
Yeah, Mies was gonna try a brave pass on the outside, ran out of room, however, and here is Dunnigan going very wide on the exit of turn number 2, thankfully able to return on track and keep his position. So here is what he sees. Oh, that's a great avoidance. Great job from Dunnigan to avoid an accident and avoid the wall as well. That's top class.
I was going to say the bigger thing I think there is just not reacting and suddenly sending the car flying into the concrete off to the right. Dunnigan continues in 15th, did lose some positions with that avoidance maneuver, but at least he's still in the race. Mies is actually the one right behind him, having recovered. Those are the 3 that got by, you see on screen. Torres, Williams, and Espinosa.
And Mies now looking for a move to get past Dunnigan, and this is the problem when you get to the back with a fast pace. You try to force the issue a little bit too much. That's what's happening with Rodrigo Mies here. He's being very brave, but he was run out of room because I don't think anyone is expecting you to pass on the outside of turn number 2, and he didn't pull it off, ran out of room, ran wide, and now he's gonna make all those passes once again. So you think you're gaining time when you're pushing the issue, and sometimes taking the risk works, but more often than not, the only thing that's happening is you losing time because you're gonna make a mistake or you're gonna be forced into a mistake, whatever the case may be, and then you're just gonna have to make all those moves once again, and it's so frustrating. And it's a snowball effect because the more mistakes that happen, the more frustrated you get, the further down order you fall, and you think that you don't deserve to be all the way down there as well. And Rodrigo Mies is going to look to the inside of Dunnigan once again, losing it and spinning around and back first into the wall and upside down, and I think that's all she wrote.
Yeah, that's it for Rodrigo Mies. He could get back out on the track, but he's going to be well down the order. The Great White North finds the snowball effect biting one of our front runners, sadly. But these two Have managed to avoid the avalanche so far. Acosta and Asturi now 4 seconds ahead of Calquin and still running line astern, but that was the first mistake we've seen from Bruno there with a lot of wheel spin out of Moss.
And that's how he is to do as well. He was, he was already just a tiny bit loose. There was a bit of slip angle on the exit of Moss corner, and he hit the curb, and then he had to get off the throttle to correct it. Now, it didn't cost him too much time, but those are minor details. Those are certainly the things that are going to wake you up.
Well, hopefully he's got a lot of coffee there so that he doesn't get caught napping in this race. Behind them, it stayed pretty close for third, fourth, and fifth as well. Bacigalupo and Ross really the closer of that trio. They can see them on screen. The red car is Bacigalupo. The black Ford is Ross.
Perhaps the most beautiful car on the grid as well, Michael Ross, and as we jump on board him, gonna watch him chase Lucas Bacigalupo, the American driver, Michael Ross. He is the one who is holding the red, white, and blue, flying high here at Motorsports, just north of the border. So what can he do against Bacigalupo here? And can he do anything against Horacio Calquin at the later point of this race? And more importantly, does he want to? Because right now it looks that Bacigalupo can still somewhat hang on to the back of Horacio Calquin, meaning he's still getting some draft. So Ross may want to save fuel and stay put for now at least. But stay tuned.
Now, we're getting close to that pit window, and we don't usually see people pit early, but I'm looking at the lap times, and I'm looking at Ross's specifically. He's currently running laps a second off of his quickest right now. So I know they've done some updates on the tires. It kind of makes me wonder if it is worth it to attempt an undercut for anybody.
No, because they're not gonna take tires anyway.
That's true. That's true.
So it would be
Bringing
just
me
moot
back to
point.
reality here.
Yeah. Oh, there goes gravity and so on. But yeah, what they want to do, why the overcut works, is because you can drive those last laps with the last laps of the first stint, so to speak, and with slightly newer tires, less worn tires, with the emptier car, with a lighter load. You don't want to really carry any extra fuel at all, and also that's gonna make you pit stop a little bit shorter because you're gonna be more clear on how much fuel you're using. You're able to save fuel as well. So Michael Ross absolutely shouldn't pit any earlier than he absolutely needs to. He's in a great position right now, as long as Bacigalupo holds onto the back of Horacio Calquin. But the moment Bacigalupo makes a mistake or starts losing time, Michael Ross needs to think hard about making a move on Bacigalupo, or whether and he goes to the inside. That's really surprising, and he's gonna run a little bit wide, and they both are going to lose time here. That's not. He tried to catch him with the pants down, but that's not the kind of move I was expecting nor wanting to see.
At least they both came out the other side, but yeah, really going for a surprise attack in the 67. I wonder if also psychological maneuvers there. That's got to get Lucas thinking a little bit different now.
Yeah, but the problem is that Michael Ross is perhaps being a little bit short-sighted here, because he's thinking about the fourth place. He's not thinking about third place at all, and he has a chance at the podium here. Mind you, Calquin is still right there. So maybe he should have given a chance to Bacigalupo to, hold on to the back, but now they lost a little bit of time. And if they get into an extended battle, because I don't think Bacigalupo is gonna just, not after a move like that, he's not just gonna roll over and die. He's gonna, keep battling, and they're gonna lose more and more time. And that's the difficult thing with longer races, because normally I'm an advocate for battles. I want drivers to fight it. I don't want to see drivers, on a parade one after another. I've seen enough 2000s Formula One to get tired of that. But it's just this is one of these times where you have to think with your senses.
Got a little bit of a three-car train forming back in the mid-pack. Torres, Williams, Espinoza. We were talking about them earlier with Dunnigan and Mees trying to catch them. Well, they've dropped Dunnigan. Mees, we know what happened to him, who, by the way, is still taking repairs down in the pits currently. These three still fighting for P12. Porsche leading the two Ferraris as they cross the line to start lap 18. getting closer to halfway through this race, and everybody really taking as wide of a line as they can through these corners, flirting with the edges. Speaking of Dunnigan, Dunnigan taking an early stop. The 899 is in.
Yeah, so he's maybe opening the game and wanting to pit early, get away from the pack. Let's see. He was all by himself actually, so he just decided to take a pit stop, and fair enough. Maybe he was carrying a little bit of damage from earlier on. He took a hard ride through the grass, so maybe it damaged his splitter or the underside of his body, and he was going nowhere.
As we come back to first and second, you can see they're not too far behind the pitting Dunnigan. He does need to be concerned about getting some blue flags if they continue to catch him, especially with our leaders expected to go long here. Up and over the crest of Clayton, two very different lines between our leaders. The sun has continued to rise as it tends to do in the morning, and it's now up to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind coming down just slightly, thankfully. Hopefully that'll continue. Oh, no, and it goes right back up to 14 miles per hour and 15. So proving me wrong and continuing to flummox these drivers as it changes speed slightly out here in Canada.
Yeah, and that has a minor effect because it can, it's more apparent on open wheelers where the wind can really screw your day up if it changes direction. Once you come into a corner, it can have effect on the straight line speed as well, obviously, because there's a tiny bit more air resistance, or indeed less air resistance if the wind is blowing from the backfield. But as we watch Asturi, I think the different line, as we see it once again, he's taking a little bit wider. That's just dirty air. He can't follow his teammate as close as he wants because the car just won't turn at the same speed. He can't use the same line. So he's, as we see here on turn number one, he's being a little bit more conservative at the corner entry and hoping that, braking a little bit earlier is going to allow his car to turn in a little bit better. Once again, as he's further away, he's able to take normal line through turn number two. So it might be a preference thing sometimes when you see drivers taking, and that's Jason Rimkus, who was spun around in turn number four. Thankfully, leaders able to avoid him.
Yeah, it was a bit of an awkward spot, but there's a good visual up ahead, so they knew not to track out like they normally would need to. Rimkus does get the car going, and he is down in 23rd. It's going to give one more position to Stacy Dunnigan, who is still our only pitter. Oh, and did Russo had a problem into Quebec, and I think, oh no, this started in Clayton.
Yeah. So let's see what happens here. Oh, gonna run a little bit wide. Yeah, tiny correction at the exit of the corner. Gonna run a little bit wide. Not gonna get it turned into the next one. Gonna go head first into the tire barrier. Thankfully, that BMW is a big boy, so it can survive such impacts, and he doesn't look to have too much damage. But, that's never good for a race car.
Yeah, and he went straight on into it, so it shouldn't have affected his suspension, I hope. Granted, the aerodynamics of that car might be a little bit more blunt. He climbs up the hill. We've only had Dunnigan pitting so far. Let's watch Russo. Let's see if he comes in and see if he takes a similar strategy, trying to get a little bit of repairs here. Because even though we're used to not seeing people come in early, I'm surprised that we've had nobody else this far in. No, he's going to keep going. 22 is happy with how the car is.
Oh, and Espinosa is in the wall from 13th place at the exit of turn number one as well. He spun around, got heavy damage into his car, trying to get it back going. Not gonna work that way, and gonna have to turn around. And we see a replay as well. So coming into turn number one and just gonna lose it on the exit, running a little bit wide, lost it on the exit, just hit that grass ever so slightly, and hit that wall on the outside. And he's spending a long time spinning that thing around.
I think he got stuck in the barrier briefly. He eventually gets it out. Yeah, there he goes. But Espinosa, almost a carbon copy of what we saw from Pfeffer earlier in this race.
And that car, I think,
Whoop.
your car is toast. Yep, and that's spun around again. So that's Espinosa. All she wrote, and add another name to your list of retirements, I think.
Yeah, we've had quite a few already. Hilton is out. Uribe, Strikars, knees still getting repairs. None is too. They might still come back into the scene.
Basigalubo! He's in the wall hard from the fourth place. And that's all by himself in turn number 4.
Ooh, the pressure got to him. Ross holding right underneath that rear wing.
Yeah, he's you're gonna see it here. He's coming onto the braking zone, braking a little bit too late, a little bit towards the rear, and he's just gonna snap loose and correct it and into the wall. So that would have maybe, hindsight is 2020, hindsight is 2020. But that would have been better to spin it around rather than try to correct it and nose first into the wall. But it's kind of hard to tell in that split second when your instinctive reaction is to, correct it.
And he had to take a tow because that pancake to the left side, unfortunately, is going to
Not
cause him.
again.
Yeah, I had to bring it up at least once. Unfortunately, left him with no choice. Back on our leaders is lap traffic comes out of the pits. Kenny Rodriguez finishes pit stop. They were warned about this in the drivers' meeting that they need to be heads up when drivers are exiting pit lane, that they're not required to rather give way to the traffic on track into that fast corner.
Yeah, and even better, it was Kenny Rodriguez who warned him.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. So that is a case where you better remember what he said, because I don't think he'll be too happy if you take him out after that sort of heads up. Back up the Mario Andretti straight. No change up at the front since these two have slipped into these positions. Acosta and Asturi, first and second place, respectively. Oh, did we have Lopez Torres with a problem? The number 13, I think, in Clayton Corner.
Oh, I'm gonna check that Lopez Torres. Let's see the BMW. Yeah, he had a bit of a problem in turn number 2. So he went sideways and he saved it very well. That's actually, play some Eurobeat. Why not? And after this replay is done, get an onboard from JR Williams, please.
Yeah,
You're gonna
that's good.
see
There he
why
goes.
now.
Woo! And he pulls it back. Wow, what a save from the Texan. I definitely want an onboard here. This is miraculous stuff.
Yeah, this is great. Like, he's gonna come to the left, realize the situation, gonna go on the grass, pull it back, and gonna get it somehow turned into the next corner. I mean, that second part of the save, that's insane.
Just brilliant. I mean, he came into a drift and still held the car, and that'll give him 10th place with that nice little maneuver. He's a little ways behind Utretis, unfortunately, but top 10 will certainly be a handy haul of points for that Ferrari.
And not the only top 10 he's gonna get out of that one, I think.
I could see that one showing up on the top 10. Oh, and what happened to Asturi here? He is much farther behind now.
Oh, I'm gonna find out. Let's see it.
He is checking on that. That happened, I think, in Quebec, it looks like.
Yeah, the third corner. So the same thing happened to him as happened to Bacigalupo, only that he didn't go into the wall. So this is all the way from turn number 1, and just keep it here. Keep it here. Let's watch him. He's gonna be a little bit behind the race leader, and yeah. So he's gonna be a little bit behind the race leader, and then turn number 2, he's gonna do it fine.
We need to get on replay. Yeah, because we're still live here. Now we're on replay.
Might wanna roll that a little bit further back.
Looks like we're not going to be able to find it, unfortunately. So, regardless, you see the effects, and it's 2.5 seconds from Asturi to Acosta.
Yeah.
And that is a big gap. Look at that.
Yeah, and just a quick description of what happened to make it clear. So into turn number 3, he was braking a little bit too late. He lost the car under braking, but he did a 2-foot save and managed to bring it back together. And so he managed to save it without losing too much time, without hitting anything, without spinning. The only problem, or the only hit is to his ego and his confidence.
And we mentioned that attrition, and it has just been piling up even since a couple minutes ago when we last looked. Bacigalupo's gone. Espinoza is stuck in pit lane. Dunnigan out of this race as well. We're down to 20 drivers of our 28 starters left. So we've nearly lost a third of the field.
Yeah, and that just goes to show how difficult this track is. Most sport, it's always been difficult. We talked about the lack of attrition last night at the GT4 series, and mentioned earlier on, we talked about it show early on in this race that these cars are faster, they are more difficult to handle. It's a longer race. There is more opportunities for mistakes and faster lap times as well. You're gonna encounter these corners more times. And there is not an easy corner on this track, I feel. There's not a single easy corner at Motorsport. Each one of them has their unique and own challenge.
As we take a look at Michael Ross one more time. Now that we've lost Bacigalupo, Cal Quinn is next on his list, and potentially a podium. 666 is the Ford you see up ahead. It's still about a second between them, though, so Ross has to make up a little bit of time. What if we could pull up the lap comparison between them, though? Because Ross was held up before by Bacigalupo. If he's got better pace than Horatio, then we should hopefully see it after he was freed of the car ahead. Here it is on screen now.
Oh yeah, you can see it. You can see Cal Quinn losing 4/10 of a second last time by. A little bit of time as well in the previous lap, 10/2 on lap 24. And they were doing equal lap times, but once Michael Ross got past Bacigalupo, he's been absolutely flying, and he's chasing down a podium here. And Horatio Cal Quinn, he lost his teammate Nice. So out of his team's drivers, he's the only Punto driver currently in this battle. Christian Eisler all the way down to P5, which is not a bad position, mind you, but he is not in this battle. So Horatio Cal Quinn, let's see if the ex-Counter-Strike Pro can still clutch plays.
Ooh, our lone Canadian unfortunately got bit by his home track. I think Utahag. Oh, it looks like the same incident that we had with Pfeffer on the first corner, where he just went wide and that sent him across the track. He's got it going once again, and he's back running, but he's down in 18th now.
Yeah, and it's a good thing the engine on that Porsche is in the back, because the front is gone.
Down in 8th position, Don Skorek ahead of Javi Utredes. Skorek, who is top 5 in points, is unfortunately still sitting in 8th position. Now, he has come upwards from 14th on the grid, but he might lose one of those here soon, because look at how close that Ford is getting. In fact, he's going to have to go defensive down into Quebec, and Utredes is very much putting the pressure onto this Ferrari.
Yeah, and coming down the hill and on towards the Moss corner, they come once again. Javi gonna leave a little bit of a gap, I think on purpose, to get himself some room for the exit here. But the Ferrari has one good thing, and that's good mechanical grip out of the corners. A little bit better than Ford, but that's not gonna help him. Look at the straight line speed difference here. And I'm not sure if Squirk is actually even on full throttle right now. Yeah, he's gonna make this an easy pass, I think. Yep, not gonna lose Javi anytime there. And that's a smart move.
Utredes goes to 8th out of that one. Skorek down to 9th now. We're 24 minutes left to go. What would we say, about 4 more minutes for this pit window, and then we're expecting them in?
Yeah, and it's gonna be a wild shuffle onto the difficult pit lane at Motorsport. Now, Joe, I'm gonna get this to you because you wanted to talk about this last night at the GT4 broadcast, but you never got a chance to. So here you go. Now's your chance. Time to shine, boy.
Yeah, that pit entry, it's comparable to places such as Mid-Ohio or Laguna Seca, where you've got to turn into the entry, and you can definitely screw it up on your way in. I've seen drivers do it before, and you've got to maximize that to really get the best out of your pit cycle. We're going to see it right there. There is the pit entry. If you would have come in to the right side, viewers left, our leader would have been heading into pit lane. And the number 5 continuing on. He's going to try and stretch it until the car is dry. He's kept that gap back to second place. Bruno Asturi still 2.5 behind. Neither of them really fussed by Cal Quinn, who's still about 6.5 seconds back. That gap, actually, though, is really probably one of the more important ones from 3rd to 4th. Cal Quinn finds Ross creeping closer and closer to his rear wing.
Yeah, and that's that's well, gonna be a difficult situation. Ross has already forced one driver into a mistake, but Lubo cracked under the pressure like a fresh egg that is thrown on the pavement. And next up, it is Horatio Calguin. Now, Calguin is not a man to easily crack under pressure. He's somewhat mistake prone, or has been in the past, to be honest. He's made some mistakes in the past, but I don't think he's the type to cave into pressure so easily. He has pro experience, as I mentioned earlier on, not only from sim racing, but also from Counter Strike. And if that's gonna teach you one thing, it's gonna teach you to deal under pressure, deal with pressure situations, high pressure situations. And the thing is that the difference between CS 1.6 and iRacing is that wall banks don't work on iRacing.
Well, Michael Ross cuts it down another 10th this time by as he makes himself big in the mirrors of the 666. 22 minutes left to go. Are we going to get drivers in soon here? Oh, well, that answers my question. Gotch. He responds. Eduardo, and the number 45 is on the lane.
Yeah, he is, and let's see the pit stop time. Is everything gonna go well? He's a little bit slow in the lane, but it is a slow pit speed limit as here, 56 k's an hour. That's around about 35 miles an hour, I do believe. And Eduardo Avila Gach is the first driver to take the opportunity from the lead pack to take the opportunity to go into the pit lane. He's out now. Is he gonna come into clear air? Lowendick is coming. Let's see. Eduardo out of the pit lane. He's going to be behind Lowendick, but in somewhat good of a gap. So it's just Lowendick ahead of him, able to avoid most of the heavy traffic.
Just slew of cars at the back of the
Oh,
field are
sorry.
in. Russo, Pfeffer, Schmidt are all in.
And Munoz made a mistake. No need to go to it, but Munoz made a mistake from P number 6 in the Moss corner, and he is not hitting anything, but he lost a lot of time, and he's now in the hands of Javi Utreras.
And remember, he's third in the points, so he really can't afford to lose too many spots. I can also tell you Quinn, Ross, and Eisler have all pitted. Our leaders have not anymore. Munoz is in.
Yeah, Munoz is in at the last second. Utreras gonna get past him, and Calguin as well. I think Calguin is in the pit lane. Yeah, and so is his teammate. So that's Calguin, and that's also Eisler in the pit lane, as is Ross. And the Ross is gonna come back behind Calguin. Calguin able to do a good pit stop there and able to actually extend the gap a little bit. Let's see the pit stop times between those guys. So Calguin 13-second stop, Michael Ross 13-second stop, exactly the same 10th. However, Calguin spent 7/10 of a second less time on the pit lane.
And that was costly, as you can see the gap now between Ross and Quinn. It took him a long time just to get to the back of him, and he's going to have to do it all over again in these last 20 minutes. Leaders stay out yet another lap. Oh, except no, Asturi is in.
Yep.
Acosta stays out.
Yeah, Asturi is in, so he wasn't able to save as much fuel on the early goings, and he was lapping pretty much same lap times as earlier, as the leader, so he wasn't able to catch up at all, and so he has a lot of work to do here. Gonna have to nail the speed stop to 31.1 is the fastest lane time so far, and that's courtesy of Horatio Calguin. Asturi looked to be stationary a little bit longer than I maybe expected. Let's see. Yeah, Asturi 13.4 seconds, so that's a little bit longer than Calguin and Ross. So gonna just play safe and make sure.
And that's going to put him in a little bit of traffic. He comes out behind Utreras and Rodriguez. Utreras hasn't pitted, but Rodriguez has. So he's a lapped car. Watching our leader, Acosta, on screen. Utreras, needs to pit Brea, who just came in right now. So he's going to pit Rimkus, I'm seeing, without any time on the lane. Up to the final corner, and that's the end of the road for the fuel tank because the number 5 brings it in.
Yeah, so and I'm watching Asturi meanwhile. He's gonna get past Ken Rodriguez here, who made a mistake on the exit of Moss corner. And we are expecting, of course, Acosta to get the lead pretty easily, and he's not gonna get caught in this traffic either, because Javi Utreras, he's gonna pit this time by, so even more time lost for Bruno Asturi here. And my real question is, this is gonna benefit potentially Horatio Calguin a fair bit, granted Calguin is also ways back. So that's one thing to consider. And here comes the race leader, Abner Acosta, and into the clear lead. What a race it's been for Abner.
Yeah, but I have a feeling he's going to be hugging that lucky rabbit's foot close to his chest for the remainder of the race. 3 second places in a row. As you try to finally pit, you can see the orange Ford getting his service, and he'll be back out. Acosta may have those 3.2 seconds, but we've seen a lot of self-made errors during this race. He has to keep it clean for 18 more minutes.
Yeah, he has to, and that's no easy task, especially when you're all by yourself in front. However, if there is one man in this field who is used to that, that is maybe Abner Acosta. He is a past champion. He knows how to deal with this situation, knows how to keep his poise and keep his calm in a place where he doesn't necessarily need to be pushing hard at this point. And I'm interested to see what Bruno Asturi will do. Will he try and desperately catch up to his teammate at these last 17 minutes, or is he gonna be more like, okay, I don't want to make another mistake, I'm 3 seconds back, that's it for me?
Remember, there's not much between them in terms of points. Only 3 points between Asturi and Acosta. Some of those coming from the bonuses. A pole for Asturi and 3 fastest laps. Every single round, the fastest lap has gone to Bruno. And there's a good chunk of it right there that you can account for that points lead. That is everybody now having pitted. 7th place, though, after Utretta's taken his stop, Paulo Munoz got overtaken in that exchange. He's down to 8th, unfortunately.
Yeah, Paulo made a minor mistake just a couple of laps ago. We were talking about that earlier on, and he lost position. Now Munoz has to make his way back the flying 4GD of Javi Utreras, but Javi is not going to make that easy at all. And Eduardo Gach, how about him? He's in 6th, and that's, I believe, the highest position he's been in a while.
Started at 10th, gained about 4 from the grid. That is not too bad for sure for Gach. Bit of a mix-up here. Everybody behind our 2 leaders in the points, because Munoz, as I mentioned, 3rd in points. He's fallen down to 8th right now on track. Squirtek, who's 5th in points. He's actually right behind Munoz in 9th position. And, well, we saw what happened to Mies, who is still taking repairs in pit lane. I doubt we'll see him back on in these final 15 minutes, because I don't think there's anything he could gain from the positions that are ahead of him.
Yeah, no, his Motorsport is one race to forget about, and sadly that's the way it usually goes when one makes errors like that. Maybe the pressure got to him, maybe there was something wrong with the car setup, the mistakes, kept piling on, and he never really had a chance to show if he would have had the pace to take it all the way to Abner Acosta and Bruno Asturi as well. Because he was certainly, like early on, he was looking fast, but that was still way too early to say.
2 drivers that are looking to really gain a lot of positions in the championship if they can stay put are Cal Quinn and Ross. Ross is currently 6th, and he is ahead of just about everybody except for Asturi and Acosta that he is chasing. And then Cal Quinn is actually all the way down in 12th in points right now.
Yeah, he's gonna be looking at the real Christmas here at the Motorsport 3rd place, and this is exactly what Horacio Calquin, I feel, needs. A little bit of a confidence boost, a little bit of a chance to show that, hey, you still got it. Like, you can still drive, you can still go fast. Don't give up now. And, if you pull performance like this week after week on a weekly basis, and, train like this, and put the effort in, and you can still be in the podium. And who knows, like, if you find a little bit more, if you find a track that suits you maybe a little bit more than Motorsport does. I'm not saying it doesn't suit Calquin, but on a different track, on a different day, who knows, maybe he's the chosen one to take the fight into the level Motorsport guys. But we'll have to just wait and see how he does. And even if he doesn't take the fight to them, I think this result for him right now, it's looking very great. It's looking very great indeed. And Michael Ross doesn't look to be catching Calquin up at all right now.
So, interesting question for you, Ozzy, because I was looking at how many cars are left, and we're down to 19 now. But then I realized we only have 16 left on the lead lap as well. And even though we've got fewer cars, lap traffic, Acosta's actually coming up to some of it right now. Is that perhaps the hope that Asturi has, the best hope that he has, to maybe get up and see if he can attack his teammate again?
Well, I was looking at that couple of laps ago, and that's an interesting question, Joe.
Whoa,
But
sorry, the background, big wreck, and actually Asturi got caught up in it.
oh,
Who
oh yeah,
was
he's
that?
out. Let's see. Big wreck in turn number 1, and that was
Schmidt.
Anderson Schmid in his damaged car that just let the race leader by. And look at him spinning at the exit of turn number 1, and he's spinning widely, spinning like a top and 10. Asturi did nothing wrong there. He was trying to avoid him going through the grass, but he just lost the car because he was in the grass and just very lightly tapping the wall. That could have been a lot of damage. Fortunately, he didn't hit too hard, but that's certainly any battle of the leading fight now gone. Any hope of the leading fight now gone for Bruno Asturi.
Have to wonder how much that damage is going to affect his straight line speed, because that behind him, that is Cal Quinn and Ross, actually. They are possibly within striking distance. They do have Kenny Rodriguez between them as a lapped car. He's in the Porsche, the orange, white, and black machine. But there you can see already he's giving way. He knows that Cal Quinn is probably going to be in a hurry to try to catch up to him. This second place is not guaranteed.
Not at all. Not at all. And even bigger than the damage, I don't think Bruno Asturi has much damage, if at all. Like a little bit of a scratch maybe. That's gonna do nothing. All the aero parts, every component of the car, that looks fine. What doesn't look fine are his tires. This is the last point in time you want to spin this car, because the tires, they have been tortured on this track where they receive little bit of help from the long back straight, but aside from that, they're going to be running hot all throughout the lap. So the tires, they have been wearing already. We've been seeing drivers having a lot of difficulties here. So last thing Bruno Asturi needs is to wear out his tires even more, courtesy of a small spin. And that's also going to affect his confidence. He's going to have to get his rhythm back, and he's going to have to get it back fast, because that gap is 1.7 seconds. And Calvin, who knows where he might be in this race.
The commentator's curse is in full effect tonight. I asked if traffic would be Asturi's hope, and the answer was the reverse, as it sends him backwards. And it doesn't look likely that he'll be able to snag a win unless something truly dramatic happens. Cal Quinn, for those wondering, is about 1.5 seconds back currently. He's got 10 minutes to go. So probably somewhere around 7 to 8 laps here before we call this a race.
Yeah, and you know what I'm wondering? If Abner Acosta had his lucky rabbit's foot, I wonder if Bruno Asturi had a monkey's paw, and he was rubbing that monkey's paw, and he was saying that, hey, let lap traffic decide the lead battle. And it was granted.
And then the finger closed. So out through the Moss corner, Abner Acosta leads this race by a handy 9.2 seconds, looking for his first victory of the season. Not his first time beating his teammate, mind you. Munoz, remember, won round 2, but it was Abner who finished in second place back when they raced at that track at Monza. He comes through to complete another lap. In fact, he really doesn't have nobody near him. He's got a ways up to get to Brea, who's the next car to lap. We got 8 to go this time.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at, Joe. Earlier when we were discussing the lap traffic. And let's hope nobody crashes this time. That's why I'm having this speech, But the thing is, the fortunate thing, perhaps, for Abner Acosta is that even though he's got a bit of traffic to worry about, none of them are battling. It's Brea, and then it's ways to go to Ruiz and Rafa Russo as well, and he's probably not going to even catch Russo, and it's going to be very tight with Felipe Ruiz as well. So, he doesn't have battles ahead of them, and that's the worst. Like single cars, you can deal with easily. You can just wait until a right spot or watch if they're going to be gentlemen and give way. But if you have a situation where you have a battle ahead of you, those guys couldn't care less about the blue flags. When they're in the heat of battle, they are in the heat of a battle. And good luck trying to find an overtake there. Good luck trying to go past someone, 2 guys who are too wide at Motorsports. Like, it's not gonna happen. The track is not wide enough.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that a lot at this track, is the narrowness. Usually it's just the fast corners and the old school nature of it. But that old school nature also includes the fact that it just doesn't have a lot of room to race. Now down to 8.5 minutes left to go. And Asturi seems to be gaining a little bit. It's 8.9 seconds on Abner Acosta. Now, that could be Acosta taking it easy. We just don't know. He is pulling away from Cal Quinn. That's a good news for fans of Bruno. The 666 car is about 2 seconds behind now from 1.5 not too long ago.
Yeah, and Ross is going a little bit faster now, 114.7 last time by Calguin, 114.9. Nothing to write home about yet, but Calguin, I think he's trying his best to, and he's earnest to catch up to Bruno Asturi. I think Asturi is on his second wind, on his last gasp here. And as for the leader, I think Acosta, he can't afford to slow down too much because this is such a rhythm track. You just have to be brave and you have to trust the car, especially on the Claydon corner and places like that, at the Moss corner as well. You can't really take them too slow or you're gonna make a mistake, a silly error. But he has to just be a little bit more conservative. Don't take any risks like right now. There's no point with that. Like the only point I could see theoretically would be to get the fastest lap, but even that's long gone. I mean, the time to get the fastest lap was the second lap or the third lap around, and that's already with Abner Acosta. If you want to know, 113.528. Asturi is in second in the ranking, but second place in the fastest lap column grants no points. So actually, Abner Acosta, he's got a chance for a Grand Chelem here.
Wow. Impressive stuff. When he needs to respond, he responds in style. Speaking of racing in style, though, I want to give a little bit of a shout to a driver we haven't given too much love to. J.R. Williams, up to 10th place, started in 20th. That's quite a few positions. One of our biggest hard chargers, to be honest. The 213 we ride on board with right now in the Ferrari. And another one that looks to be pretty much all on his lonesome. Now, he's got Torres about 3.7 seconds back. Not terribly close, but he can't afford to make too big of a mistake. But it's a whole 15.5 seconds up to Don Skurdik in 9th place. So all he has to do is cruise home from here.
Yeah, and actually Torres has Ted Löwendick right behind him in the 12th place. So, Torres and Löwendick, they might have a scuffle here at the closing portion of this race. Yeah, J.R. Williams briefly coming back to him, no need to go with the cameras, but he had that magnificent save early on. And if he can get that top 10, thanks partially to that save, it's going to be certainly a race to remember, even if it's not a top 5 for a race win. But that's certainly one of the more impressive performances we have seen this season, being able to make the climb like that. But here comes Löwendick. So it's BMW and it's Ferrari for the 11th place.
Yeah, a bit wide off of Moss corner for the BMW. Number 13 of Lopez Torres is being closed on very quickly. Löwendick's got a lot of speed here. He had the slipstream. He's going to look around the outside, but then decides better of it as they come into turn 8. So Torres lives to fight another day.
He does indeed. And Torres, gonna have to hold on to it to the best of his ability. He's still got 5 minutes on the clock to hold Ted Löwendick back, and Ted made a mistake early on. He could have been the surprise of this race, maybe, had fortune favored him differently. He made a mistake and still is back in 12th place, exactly where he started. But when you look at the drivers who are right now in the top 10, Gotch started 10th, Utrera started 13th, Munoz started 11th, and Skurek started 14th, and Williams, as you just mentioned, started 20th, and even Torres, he started 18th. So 12th starting position, rounding up, he could have been very easily in the top 6 in this race, potentially. But, if cows had wheels, they would be milk trucks.
On to the back stretch. Hopefully he's hauling the mail and not milk. It looks like Löwendick is going to have another go at it. Last time it didn't produce results. What's it going to be this time? I think he's got a better run, actually. He is overlapped as they come up to the braking zone. He's much farther along Lopez, and he's going to try it. He's going to stick with it. He'll have the inside down into turn 9, and it's still not going to make it happen as they almost make contact. Torres fending him off with all of his might. Löwendick still can't make the overtake.
Yeah, and that's great job by Torres defending the position, coming into the last corner. Oh, and Torres makes a mistake in turn number one, goes a little bit wide, not gonna allow Learning a chance, but yeah, into that last corner, Torres kept himself alongside, kept himself to the inside, didn't allow Ted Lowendick to position himself for the over-under he needed to the last corner, but great job by both of these guys, coming really close but not making any contact at all, and will we see a round number two? Coming in onto the back straight, you have to just wait and see with that one, but it's an exciting one.
First one, he wasn't quite close enough. Second one, he actually had a go at it. Is he just learning here? That's the question. Is he tempering himself each time, making small adjustments to try and take this place away? Doesn't quite look as good. So whatever he tried this time, not sure if it's going to allow him through. He's still going to force him to defend. Torres covering him off, and yep, this looks a little bit more like the first time.
Yeah, and Löwendick and Torres, they both hit the curb exiting the Moss corner. And that's the one thing Löwendick needed to avoid, because Torres was able to get the power down a little bit better than Löwendick, who was hesitating as a result of that curb hit. And that's why he wasn't able to launch himself so well onto that long and ready straight. So he's gonna have a couple of stabs at it left still onto the Mario and ready straight. And he's gonna need to hold tight to the back of Torres, but this is a good one. And I don't think it's going to be decided before the last corner of the last lap. Let's just hope that they keep it a little bit cleaner than trucks, please.
They've got 2 left to go. We already had Acosta cross the start-finish line. And these two aren't that far ahead of them. They're not going to get lapped, though. Certainly not.
Torres makes a mistake at the Moss corner. You saw it on the screen, and that's going to maybe allow Löwendick, but he's not going to be able to use it. Sorry, Joe, go on.
That's okay. Yeah, he looks a little bit too far back compared to what we've seen from before. He is going to close in. It depends on how desperate he's getting. He's going to try and make more aggressive moves. Yeah, he can't even attempt it here. He'll have to stay behind. But yeah, Acosta not close enough to try and lap them, but these two actually might be the last two on the lead lap at the end here. So there they go across the line, but the white flag now being pulled out because the next one through is the number 5. There is Abner Acosta. Asturi, 7 seconds back. He's gained quite a bit. I think Acosta's just cruising to the finish from here. In fact, this one might feel a little bit more like a victory lap.
Yeah, and it's great to see him. Such a nice guy, you know. Great to see him on the victory lane. Great to get that win and bring the fight to his teammate as well, you know, showing him that, hey, I can do this too. I'm a past champion. I may acknowledge you as a fast guy, but I haven't, you know, rolled over and died just yet. I haven't given this up. And it's a great performance by Abner Acosta here today, you know. As we said, pole position, fastest lap, and one straight away from the victory here at Motorsports. So, you know, the Grand Chelem for Abner Acosta and Joe deserves all the praise.
We got to go back to Teddy. He's got a good run here. This is looking a little bit better as they come up to turn 8. But once again, he decides not to try and press the issue. Not sure why, but he's still got to get one more try at it. Because as they come around White's corner, ooh, he is very close behind him. We're going to have to leave them because Abner Acosta is doing the same. Through the final turn, it took him 4 rounds, but he is up at the top once again. Abner Acosta, your winner here today in Canada.
Yeah, and second place is going to go to his teammate Bruno Asturi, points leader coming into this race. And Horacio Calguin, he's back on the podium. Third place for him. Michael Ross going to finish 4th. And it's going to be Christian Eisler, the Iceman, rounding out their top 5, as we should jump back into those 2 battles that are brewing in 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. Yes, I said 2 battles.
Yep, we had 2 more cars. I was wrong. They're still on the lead lap. Ruiz and Russo also fighting. But here is Lowendick and Torres up the back straight. He was all over the back of him on the first half of the course here. Teddy was poking and prodding, hoping that maybe he could elicit a mistake from the number 13. He's got a fantastic bit of momentum in the slipstream here, holding it all the way to the inside. Miguel going to make him work hard for it, and he's got that hard work. Oh, he chops him off right at the apex. Brave move, but Lowendick slams the door shut. And that bravery is going to gift him 11th place. The 72 gets it done on the last lap. Russo finishes ahead of Ruiz behind them. And that is going to be the last of our cars across the line. Glad we got an exciting finish there at the end among them. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It was an interesting one and an attrition-filled race today in stark contrast to what we saw for the PRL GTE Sportscar Series, with GT4s only seeing 3 today. We only had finishers up to 18th. At the top of them was Abner Acosta, and he won that by a decent margin, but it didn't look like that for much of the race. Bruno Asturi was close behind him, but his own mistake at first cost him, and then lap traffic was unfortunately not kind to the number 16 today, and he lost a lot of time and accrued some damage. Cal Quinn rounds out the podium with a nice finish, keeping Michael Ross at bay for much of the end of the race. Christian Eisler gets a top 5, with Eduardo Gach going from 10th to 6th. You've got Javi Utreras finishing in 7th, with Paulo Munoz in 8th for him. Unfortunately, not going to do well for him in the championship, though. Don Skorek was P9, and J.R. Williams, who we talked about a little bit earlier, a magnificent save, making him go from 20th to 10th.
Ted Löwendick too, with a brave last lap move, being able to net himself the 11th place in the expense of Miguel Lopez Torres, who is 12th. Rafael Russo 13th, Felipe Ruiz 14th, and also the last driver on your lead lap. Juan Rivas Perea 1 lap down, Ken Rodriguez as well, 15th, 16th for those. Christopher Pfeffer 17th, Jason Rimkus 18th, and 10 your list of retirements. Nick Udehak, Anderson Schmid, Lucas Basigalupo, Andres Espinosa, Stacey Danigan, Rodrigo Mies, James Nunn, Carl Streichart, Pablo Uribe, and Matt Hilton. So out of the 28 starters, we had 18 finish this race.
And we've got our winner ready to talk to us. Abner Acosta joins us here in the booth. And Abner, I have to say, this probably feels like a long time coming, but you withstood a lot of pressure in this race, your teammate being close behind for much of it.
Yeah, good evening, guys. Yeah, it was pretty tough. He was pressuring me the whole race. And once he caught up to my draft, I was just pushing the whole time, and I got lucky. I guess almost got in an accident with another car or something. I was able to finally breathe and take it easy the last couple laps.
Sometimes we need luck a little bit on our side in racing to get the results that we need. But still, this starts you off with your first victory of the season finally, and your teammate didn't get the bonus point of fastest lap, I believe. So, is this the start of a charge?
I hope so. I mean, I knew coming in, I felt like I was stronger than him by a little bit, due to our practice sessions, and I hope so. I mean, I know this is not his track, so we'll see for the other ones.
Well, I hope you are versatile because we go from a bunch of sweeping turns here to a bunch of chicanes when we go over to Imola. Is that one you consider strong for you?
Uh, Not really, but I also don't consider it super weak, but it's not one of my favorites for sure. But I think I'll be all right. I mean, so far I got a lot of second places, and this wins. I think I'll be okay.
Fantastic stuff. Again, congratulations on the victory. And I believe, did we have you interpret for Bruno last time? Do we need you to stick around here?
Yeah, yeah. If
All
you want to
right.
interview him, I definitely.
All right. So in that case, it sounds like Ozzy and Abner are going to talk to our second place finisher, Bruno Asturi.
Yes, Bruno, you were right behind your teammate. It was the position you wanted to be in, but unfortunately not able to hold on to it. Was the car more difficult to handle this week than usual?
Bruno, buenas noches. Que empezaste detrás de mí en segundo lugar y estaba ahí. ¿Qué pensabas del auto? ¿Que era más difícil de manejar que la vez pasada o cómo sentiste el auto?
Hola, ¿qué tal? Buenas noches. Eh, la verdad que me encontré con un par de, o sea, en realidad con un buen auto. Al final de la tanda de entrenamientos encontré un par de configuraciones buenas, mejor el manejo un poco. Y atrás, la verdad que atrás del auto de Amner un poquito de idea de trompa, pero la verdad que no encontré un auto, digamos, que no iba bien, iba bastante estable. Y la idea era seguirlo hasta la parada de boxes y ver qué pasaba ahí. Pero bueno, después, la verdad que tuve un par de malas desencontramientos, o sea, me desencontré con el auto en una maniobra y luego después con un rezagado que casi termina mi carrera ahí, que por suerte lo pude esquivar bien.
Good evening, guys. Basically, Bruno said that he had a good car, stable and everything. So he felt the car was pretty stable. He did find a little bit of speed at the end of practice. And during the race, he was just behind me. And while he was behind me, he felt the car a little loose. But the plan for him at that point was just to follow me till the pit stops and then attack after that. But unfortunately, he had like a brief runoff before, and then after the pit stops, he had a close incident with a lap car that he barely saved it.
So, Bruno, how about if Rodrigo Mies had been able to stay in front of you for more than 2 laps, would you have been attacking him or would you have been following him through the first pit stops?
Bruno, si Rodrigo Mes, si él no se hubiera salido de la pista y estuviera al frente tuyo, ¿tú crees que hubiese atacado o te hubieses quedado más o menos ahí tratando de un plan de estrategia?
Eh, en un principio iba a ver cómo iba Rodrigo, si él tenía el ritmo para estar ahí tirando junto con Abner, si veía que Abner de a poco se iba a ir yendo, seguramente que lo iba a atacar, pero al principio más bien era esperar a ver qué pasaba. Después, bueno, nada, desafortunadamente él tuvo ese problema y bueno, nada, apretar un poquito hasta agarrar a Abner y seguirlo detrás y esperar la carrera. Pero bueno, la verdad que contento con la carrera como se dio y con el resultado final.
His plan was pretty much to see Rodrigo's pace at the beginning and see if he could keep up with Abner. And if he was able to, maybe he would have stayed there. But if Abner would start pulling away, then he would definitely attack. And unfortunately, he had that issue. But overall, Bruno's very happy with how the race ended and with the result.
And one last question before we get to the greetings segment. Bruno, are you going to win next week at Imola?
Bruno, que si vas a ganar la próxima carrera en Imola.
Mira, la intención mía siempre es tratar de, en lo posible, obviamente, ganar. Si es que no se puede, el mejor resultado posible, pero como a cada carrera que me presento, la intención siempre es ir a ganar. Así es como corro y cualquier otro resultado es más, obviamente, que no sea ganar y que sea podio o que estar ahí adelante, bienvenido, pero siempre la intención es ir a ganar.
Basically, his intention is always to win. So yeah, he's always his intention at every race is always to win, and if not, always get the best result. But he's always shooting for that victory.
Well, muchas gracias, Bruno, Abner, and good luck next week.
Gracias,
De
gracias.
nada, gracias.
Good
Bye-bye.
luck. Bye bye.
Ozzy once again showing off his skills as we
Not
now
really.
close up for the broadcast and give a big thank you to our sponsors once again. That is SIMSA, that you can find at simsa.net. Simulation Motorsports Affinity can help you get involved with the worldwide sim racing community. And then also ButtKicker. They can be found at thebuttkicker.com and have all kinds of cool stuff for your sim rig to help your immersion. We want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. You can find them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. You see the screen proud to get a hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Aussie and Sean and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also check out our social media, where our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. Like to support us, we got a merchandise store down below in the description. That's just gsrc.storenv.com. And while you're down there, make sure and click subscribe so that you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, we're heading over to Italy. That'll be Tuesday, June 14th for the race at Imola, which will be broadcast at 9 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.